All right. There we go. Looks like we're live.
Yep.
All right. Kind of bouncing back and forth as you hit record. So hopefully the quality's up there. But this is Stephen Follett and Randy Galvin with Long Range Studies. We got this thing launched a little bit during SHOT Show as we were wandering around, checking out all the products, especially and primarily the long range products from rifles to scopes. That's kind of our thing. We started long range studies because we've seen the same sorts of questions asked over and over as new guys are coming into the sport, and there's a lot of smart questions, but they're really repetitive. And we've seen it on the long range shooters group in Facebook. Of course, we had over 75,000 members, and then Facebook nuked us, and we're back up to I think 4 or 5,000 members. But we're growing so fast to get back up because of the quality content that we had. But so this podcast, we really just wanted to get started to record and have as a resource people that are studying, people that are getting into it. So this is going to be good for and intended for brand new shooters. And I think there's going to be a lot of information for shooters that have been around for a while, because we'll be going through and dispelling a lot of myths about whatever the case might be. We're going to talk about what's realistic and what's practical. So that pretty much sums up where we're getting started from here. Randy, did you have anything to add?
No, that's about it. We just really want to get everyone the knowledge base to get started and pick what they want, because everyone's going to want a little bit different setup, because what works perfect for me might not work great for you, and vice versa. Unless it's a tacky sack, then that works perfect for everyone.
Yeah, that works good for everybody, or an LRS rifle,
Yeah.
but we digress. And that is part of it as well, because we are involved in making products, and so we're sponsoring Thunderbird Long Range. That's my company, and so that's one of the sponsors. And Randy,
And then I've got LRS Precision. We do precision ammo, custom load development, and rifles. So, and then
yeah,
I've got the shooting team that I sponsor,
yep, and
along with Steven.
yep, grateful for that, be a part of that team. So, Randy, how did you come into long range shooting? What brought you into it, and what do you like about it?
I mean, I've always enjoyed shooting. Got started with the long range stuff when I was stationed in Texas, because you could just pretty much walk outside and go shoot as far as you wanted. But when I first started, this was back probably 2012. No, probably even 2010 or 2011. And I honestly, first rifle I ever got with a scope on it, I had no clue how to even use a scope, and it just kind of grown from there. There used to be some other groups and forums where people would have issues with people asking new questions. That's what kind of why I started Long Range Shooters in the first place on Facebook, was so new people could get their questions answered and learn stuff.
Yeah, no, perfect. And so, my intro to long range shooting, I've shot since I was a kid, 22s and everything. I used to take out the 22 and go shooting. We had 20 acres out in Missouri, and so that was just my thing, to go out and shoot as many boxes of 22s as I could buy, and keep on stock. And then shot a lot with just myself, going out and plinking. Really, I'll say plinking with myself and friends, and going out. Did a lot with scouts, Boy Scouts, rifle shooting, black powder shooting, shotgun shooting, introducing as many people. So it's always been an enjoyable thing. But I started to get into hunting about 3 or 4 years ago, really seriously. So large game. I'm here in Arizona, so elk, deer. Started putting in for that. Company guys hunting, and so of course out here in the West it's wide open. And I saw that to be effective, uh, a lot of times you can stalk in and get within 200-300 yards easy. Close it, 150 yards, and so uh, it's exciting to do that as much as we can. But there's just sometimes when you don't have the time or the route or the wind, and you need to. Well, you can take a longer shot. and you have the time to do it because they may be bedded down or they're just slowly feeding. They have no idea that you're there. So you have the time to set up and set up for the shot. And so that's what got me into long range shooting. And so I got, picked up my rifles and some basic scopes, didn't really know how to use them either, and joined your long range shooters group, Randy. And that jump started my knowledge and my excitement when I saw what other people were doing. And so I started with really with a Savage 6.5 Creedmoor, a Savage 12. I think I got it with a rebate. I spent just barely over $200 for it.
Yeah, I remember on Facebook when you were buying that and telling people about getting it that cheap.
Yeah, so I got it super cheap and put a SWFA 12 power, MOA quad scope on it, and thought, I thought I was the stuff. And I went out to a class with Paul Butler and Dale Robinson, Evolved Ballistics, and Roush Precision. And so I just walked that thing out to 1,000 yards and shot. It was an MOA group at 1,000 yards. No wind off of the bench. Perfect conditions, and my whole gun cost me less than $800. So I'm certainly an advocate of just getting a gun and shooting. It doesn't have to be expensive. Now I've since sold my Savages and have upgraded for obvious reasons. But I mean, if you got it, shoot it.
Oh yeah, that's a big one that people don't understand. You don't have to have the most expensive, best rifle on the planet to get out there and start shooting, either just shooting long distance for fun or shooting matches.
Yeah, I think long distances for fun. I mean, really, you could take any rifle that holds MOA, and you can get a lot of that with factory ammo and everything else, and you can easily shoot out to 700 yards, which is going to be long range with basic tools and a basic understanding. Past 700, we both know you end up running into to more problems and more issues. But at 700 yards, is one MOA targets a 7-inch, roughly a 7 or 8-inch gong. So
Yeah.
guys can do that, and you can do that with your 30-06. You can do that with a 25-06. You can do it with a 223.
Any modern hunting rifle can pretty much do that. Technology has gotten so much better with rifle production than it was even 10, 15 years ago. Because I remember back as a kid, a rifle that held a 2 or 3-inch group was a good hunting rifle. Now you're buying pretty much every hunting rifle out of the box is probably going to be around the worst case 1.5 inch. Most of them, the better ones, even only $500-$600 rifles, you're getting 1/2-inch groups.
Yeah, and that's my experiences with all the Savages that I bought and shot, and the pre-fit, custom barrels or pre-fit cheap barrels. I was getting sub MOA with the match ammo is crazy. My 1.6.5, it shot about half-minute groups with SIG match ammo, shooting the Sierra bullets, with Hornady match ammo, shooting their ELDMs, and the Federal Burger gold medal match. It all shot about a half minute. It was just amazing, and that's the experience of a lot of people. So, from that perspective, long range studies, it's how to take someone where you are with what you've got and apply the knowledge, and you can shoot out to 700 yards. Like I said, beyond 7, you start to run into other problems and issues, and wind starts really getting more. But if it's a center fire rifle, you can do it 700 yards. You can get your 223 out there.
Oh yeah, I've got a bolt action 223 that I shot fairly regularly at 1,000. So
yeah,
very doable with that cartridge.
Yeah, if you get the right scope, you can shoot a gas gun. Shooting 223 or 5.56.
Absolutely.
Obviously, the more you go up in a cartridge, with the more weight on the bullet, and then that's gonna help you in the wind. Those little bullets are gonna get blown more by the wind. But once you figure out the dope, and that's the purpose of this studies, is to be able to help the guy who has a rifle and wants to do long range to get out there and start applying it. I think my consistent advice, to somebody getting out there and say, hey, this is the rifle I've got, should I do it? Is get the ammo and go shoot it and start to figure it out. You can do it in a scope. Typically, you'd want to have something like a BDC or something that you could hold over. But you could do that with a really inexpensive scope.
You can, or even just get an SWFA where you've got the turrets. That's still a relatively inexpensive scope. I think they go on sale pretty regularly for what, $249 and $299. I want to say.
Yeah, $249
for your fixed power scope anyway.
Yeah, for the fixed power scope. And I pretty much have gone online. I've never paid more than, I think, $235 for my SWFAs. It's always been used off of Sniper's Hide or some other forum.
Yeah.
Because they're really pretty bulletproof, and and if you get good pictures, you can see what conditions it's in, and if it does have a problem, which I've never had out of the 4 or 5 that I've bought and sold, some of them that have had any issues at all. Right now, I have a 3-15 SWFA in first focal plane, mil quad, and a 16 power fixed that I still haven't run. In addition to those, they're on my one's on my 22 trainer rifle. So
yeah, absolutely. And so really anyone, as long as they own a centerfire rifle, can get out there and start shooting long distance.
Yeah. Well, and I'd even include a 22 long rifle. If you've got a 22 that'll hold MOA at 50 yards, you can stretch that thing out to 200 and 300 yards.
Oh yeah,
no problem.
Yeah. I've got a 22 rifle right now that I've been taking to the range and shooting out 400 yards really consistently, and then I have taken it out to 600. So
yeah, I mean, you can launch those things. I think that's one of the funniest things now that I learned the basics behind long range, is going out and seeing the guys with their hunting rifles, trying to hit the plates at 300 yards, and then I got my little 22 bolt action, and I'm, holding, MOA, 2 MOA out at 300 yards, more like two or three MOA, but, just holding on the corner of a plate and just consistently hitting it. It's absent wind. You've got it. Wind really plays.
Oh yeah, wind. Last time I was at the range shooting the 22, I was holding almost 10 mils of wind at 200 yards.
Yeah.
And there were guys with centerfire rifles shooting the target right next to me at 200 that were hitting considerably less often than I was, which was surprising.
Yeah, it's a matter of so much of it is a matter of math. The guys talk about the rifles and talk about the gear and all those other things. Even if you have a 1 MOA or a 1.5 MOA, you could still consistently hit a 12-inch plate at 600 yards, because that's 2 MOA. And that's a pie plate. So if you're hunting at 600 yards, that's the perfect kill zone for a deer. I mean, if you can hold that, it's enough for elk if your bullet's enough. So just get out there and shoot, but learn what it takes to be successful. And that's what we'll be covering. We'll be covering, the basics from what everybody says are the fundamentals. It's just to get solid on the rifle and a clean trigger press. Yep. If you can get that, that's what the fundamentals are about. Making sure your rifle's pointed and it's not moving, and you're able to control that rifle. So that's what people have been calling the fundamentals. And then the ballistics. It's just math.
Yeah, and really, it's not even math at this point anymore. You've got apps and for your phone that you can download that'll do all of that for you. They do have the math where you can do it all by hand, but I don't really know of anyone that's actually doing that anymore.
Yeah,
as long as you know the range.
Yeah, nobody really does that. You've got the ballistic calculators. You can go online and get the ballistic calculators. You can guesstimate at your velocity, your muzzle velocity, and
and it's all about
and then go verify it. It's nice to have that.
And I've been out doing stuff with some guys that are getting muzzle velocity without using any kind of chrono, because they can get a guess of about what their velocity should be, shoot a couple rounds, see where it's impacting, and then adjust their program from that. So you don't even need to really get a chronograph if you've got a good program like Applied Ballistics or Sturlock. And you can end up, as long as you put the time into it, you can find out your exact velocity on those bullets, factory rounds, and not spend the money on a chrono.
Yeah, no, you can run those. There's so many online free ones. JBM online ballistics is a great one. Has lots of inputs and lots of questions. Guys come in there with lots of questions about, well, what bullet and what velocity should I expect, and what's this? And some of it's just practical experience. Hey, what are you getting with a 20-inch barrel with a 6.5 Creedmoor was one today. But and sometimes that comes from experience. But then from that, once you know the velocity and the bullet you're shooting, you get the BC. You can apply everything else, and then hey, this bullet will expand and perform according to the manufacturer at 1,600 feet per second or 1,800 feet per second. And then you can answer a lot of those questions for yourself, and that's what we want to be able to do. So as someone listens to this, we're going to be talking about, and it's going to be like we're studying together ballistics and fundamentals and shooting and technique and procedure, covering everything from soup to nuts is what I would say.
Yep. Yeah, and we're just going to get everyone to the point they need to be able to shoot, which pretty much everyone is already there and they just don't know it. Once you break it down, it's not that hard.
Yeah. How many times have you taken someone who's maybe shot rifles before, but never shot a precision rifle? You or I dial in the dope and we say, put the crosshair on the target and gently press the trigger. And how many times do they hit stuff at 500 or 600 or 700 yards?
Oh, easily. I've done that with a bunch of people. Last one I took out was a doctor that I work with. He had never shot anything past 200 yards in his life. And I told him I would get him on at 900 yards within 10 shots. He was hitting the target after 5.
Yeah. And that's my experience. And that's so addicting. I don't know anybody who I've taken out and shot that who doesn't just get excited and just want to do it more. I've got one buddy that he's dropped a fortune on stuff and he sold a bunch of his gear, and he's like, this is what I want to do. This is amazing. This is so cool. And he's got a 20-inch 6.5 Creedmoor super light hunting rifle, and we loaded for it and went through the process, and so now he's up and running on his next rifle. So he's starting to load for the 243 he's had that his dad gave him.
Yeah. And you're absolutely right on that. It's just satisfying. I used to do the whole AR thing, go out, shoot a bunch of rounds, relatively 100 yards and in really fast. I enjoyed it, but there's something a lot more satisfying hearing that round hit still at 700, 800, 900 yards.
Oh no, that's the amazing thing, and I'm a civilized shooter, so I use a suppressor, but I just love shooting, and if I'm the only one shooting, I'll shoot with no ear pro, and it's just so cool to hear the gun go off and hear the suppressor, and then to hear the impact on the steel, second or two later after it hits and returns.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is one of the most satisfying experiences you can have, is shooting and hitting those targets at long range.
Yeah, and that's what's fun. And so, whatever, if you're just doing it to shoot, just doing it to hunt, man, let's get you dialed in for that. If you want to do PRS, if you want to do any of the other long range matches and shooting, go for it. That just brings a whole new element of fun into it. I've been doing matches for about a year now, and they are just a blast. I may have a terrible time, and hit 20% of the targets or less, my first few times out, but it was still a blast, and I came back for more.
Oh yeah, and that's just at that point you're just getting into your practice. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. And the positional stuff, I still have a hard time with a lot of the positional stuff. I can shoot prone all day long. Throw me on some of the weird barricades and stuff. It definitely changes up what you're doing.
No, it takes a lot of practice. This last match, the first two stages were variations of prone, and I went 9 for 9 out of both, 9 for 9 of 10 on both. So I dropped 1 point each stage, and then I went to they had a positional one where you had to shoot support side. So I'm shooting left-handed, and as I was coming in on the target, I sent one too early, and I called myself on the DQ because I didn't intend to send it, but I need to practice more because my hand didn't know where the trigger was, and that's a problem with with a light trigger, I suppose. But I'll take that. I think I was 3 or 4 feet. Nobody knew that I had done an AD, an accidental discharge, or negligent discharge, whatever you want to call it. But nobody knew it, and they're like, "What? You do that?" Because I just stopped shooting. I'm like, "Crap!" And but it was a mental game. That I was just done mentally when I sent that. I could tell I was just going to be frustrated. So I was okay with being done. But it was still fun to hang out and see the other guy shoot. But that's the way it goes. I say everybody does it at least once, so that's my one time. Got it over and done with. Right. Just be grateful I, obeyed the other rules, kept it pointed in a safe direction or whatever. But it's a good time. Nothing like getting out there and shooting and the camaraderie.
Oh yeah, and especially PRS. I've never participated in a sport where people you're directly competing against, even if you're right on the same level as them, they will still help you out, even if it costs them a win versus helping you.
Yeah, no, and everybody's always been willing and was willing to lend me bags when I first started. I think I showed up with a sock with kitty litter in it. Is just what I had, from my plinking and goofing around, right? And
Yeah.
I was embarrassed by it, so I just left it in the bag. But people were loaning me bags, and so I got to test out a Wee-Bad, a fortune cookie and a Game Changer and some other bags. As I went along. So if anybody's thinking about that, then definitely go out to a PRS match. It's an eye opener, and you'll learn a ton.
Yeah, absolutely. And for your first match, don't really buy anything until you go, because you will get a chance to try all the major pieces of equipment that are out there.
Yeah. What's interesting, they had a tripod stage, but they had the tripod there. So I got to shoot off of a really right stuff tripod and experience that, and some of the other matches, it was a different tripod company and other bag sponsors. And so I got to shoot off of different bags and different situations and barricades. So definitely a good one to go. But, well, I'm getting pretty tired, man. I'm still tired from shot. How about you?
Yeah, and plus it's a little bit later down here too.
Yeah,
But yeah, shot was amazing. That's definitely gonna be something we're gonna cover here soon. We're probably gonna do like a shot AAR where we talk about a bunch of the stuff, and then we've got a bunch more videos to post up on Facebook for that.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, but I'm still recovering it, but it is earlier here. But I'll let you get some rest, and we'll wrap this thing up and get this posted up. So if you're listening, then just know that we're going to keep posting more videos, and they're going to be straightforward, simple, to the point. This one was a little bit rambling, just us talking a little bit, so you got to know who we are and what we do. But we'll be focused in on them. I know we've already talked with 3 or 4 people that want to do some podcasts, some pretty big people in the industry, because they want to get their name out and their product out, and so we'll talk with those people, and then Randy and I will continue to do a series, just a basic, from the ground up, a series just to help new shooters and to build a library for people to come to and check it out. So definitely subscribe and like and share it. And Randy and I will be doing some giveaways as well, and we'll get those posted up on the website. And I know people that have already liked and followed the page. I think we're gonna just go through and give them do a drawing and give somebody or a few things to some people. So
Yep.
We'll put that out. All right, Randy. Well, good night, and we'll talk to everybody later.
All right, everyone have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.